Juliana is in. Hi,
Hi.
how are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Pretty tired, but I'm doing good.
That's good.
Mm. Okay, so just to get us started, because we know it's kind of a long process, thank you for applying and interviewing to be on the 25-26 MAFA Exec Board. We truly appreciate it. For the interview process, we'll have you We'll have a 5 minute speech for you, or you'll read your speech. You'll have 5 minutes to read it. Oh my God, hello. Which then will give you a 1 minute warning and then a 30-minute warning and then time. And then after that, we'll give you a little break, water if you need it. And then we'll go into 5 minute Q&A session. And then that's pretty much it. Um, just to confirm, you're running for what position?
I'm running for events coordinator.
Okay, perfect. Let me get my timer set up. Okay, whenever you are ready, I will click start.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name's Juliana Grageda, and I'm excited to be running for events coordinator for the 2025-2026 school year. I want to start by sharing a little bit about myself. I'm a rising senior, double majoring in neurobiology and psychology at the University of Wisconsin-Madison. And I'm also a proud member of the Filipinx American Student Organization known as FASO. I originally thought MFAST was about attending workshops and watching performances at the V Show, but I quickly realized it was so much more. It was about identity, community, and culture. That we can help me understand that being Filipino American isn't just a background, it's something I can explore, be proud of, and share with others. I left MFAS feeling more connected, not just socially, but emotionally and culturally too. And it showed me how meaningful these events can be and inspired me to create that experience for others. As a MAFA intern this past semester, I had such a great experience gaining insights on the inner workings of a board. I worked closely with the events coordinator and helped develop ideas for the MFAS facilitator baskets. I love the creative process from researching and organizing to planning and problem solving. It had its challenges, but seeing it all come together in the end was incredibly rewarding. The events coordinator is responsible for some of MAFA's biggest events like FACT and MFAS. The role involves organizing logistics for workshops, performances, and creating the executive board's itinerary. It also requires working closely with other Midwestern schools that help plan and host these events alongside MAFA. I know this role comes with big challenges, especially when it comes to coordinating and communicating across schools and planning virtually, but my experiences and strengths have prepared me to handle them. Through my experiences as Kumantayo's external director, a MAFA intern, and a supervisor at the Campus and Visitor Relations Office at UW-Madison, I built strong communication, organization, and leadership skills. As external director for Kumantayo, I coordinate performances, manage outreach to other organizations, and make sure everything runs smoothly. And through this role, I've learned how to stay organized under pressure and lead with confidence. At Campus and Visitor Relations, I work as a supervisor supporting a team of information guides who assist students, families, and campus visitors. I help manage team communication, assist with daily tasks, and ensure everything runs smoothly. This role has helped me grow as a leader and taught me the importance of empathy, professionalism, and clear communication. If elected, one of my main goals is to increase attendance and engagement, especially among newer members who might not yet know what MAFA events are or why they matter. I want to create experiences that are not only exciting, but also welcoming so that everyone feels proud to be part of this community. Another goal is to strengthen connections between MAFA schools beyond just our major events, whether it's through small collaborations or virtual socials. I want to create more opportunities for us to stay connected throughout the year. I also hope to highlight more aspects of our culture in the MAFA programming through new workshop topics or creative additions that reflect the diversity within the Filipinx American experience. And while feedback has always been a part of MAFA's process, I want to make sure it's actively reflected in future planning and that members feel heard and their input helps shape the experiences we create. Ultimately, I hope to make a positive impact on other Midwestern Filipinos just as MAFA has impacted me. I want to create engaging events that bring people together across schools and help strengthen relationships within the MAFA sphere. These events are more than just traditions, they are moments that bring us together and celebrate who we are. I'm not just running to plan events, I'm running because I care deeply about this community and want to help us grow stronger together. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Okay, that was pretty good. Now
Yeah.
I'll give you a second to calm down a little, some water. And then when you're ready, Anna will ask you, no, Nick will ask you the first question.
Okay, I think I'm good.
Okay, hi Juliana. So our first question for you is that since your role involves planning numerous events, how do you intend to stay organized and effectively communicate logistics and itineraries with others?
Um, yeah, that's a great question. I love organizing. I have a Google Calendar that I use for everything. It has like all my tasks that I have to get done throughout the day and also throughout the year. So I definitely use a shared calendar to have like important deadlines and also like meetings and like events. And also texting is also an important thing. Like I would have reminders um, before or the day of. And then also having maybe like a Google Drive and have like folders organizing like the certain like committees and stuff like that. And probably inside that Google Drive would have like the docs, also spreadsheet. I use Google Spreadsheet a lot too. So I think that's key for organizing. So I definitely have that. And I'd also have like a probably a master spreadsheet on like the task of like what's been completed or like what still has to get done, just to like just keep like process of everything. And also communication wise, um probably having like check-ins um like maybe like once a week or something like that when it gets closer to like big events. I think check-ins are very important to make sure that everyone's like on the same page and that they're not like behind or anything. Um, and also being approachable is also key to like making sure that everyone feels comfortable communicating with me and that they're not scared to ask me questions or anything like that. So, yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that answer. I'm gonna pass it to Alyssa for your next question.
So, as you know, events coordinator, one of your major responsibilities is organizing MFAS. So, our question for you is, if you notice that one of your committees is falling behind on their tasks, how would you address the situation and help them get back on task?
Yeah. So if a committee was falling behind, the first thing that I would do would probably ask them like, "Hey, how's everything going? Um, is everything okay? Like, how's your task going?" And then I would and then if like they're behind, I would set a plan um and like help think of ideas how we can get back on task. And like set like hard deadlines and then just like create a plan. Um, and first like I'd want them to like know that like I'm not mad or they're not in trouble or that it's like not their fault because there are days where like um, people might feel like overwhelmed or like they're just unsure on what to do. Um, so I definitely just make them first feel like they're not in trouble or that I'm not mad or anything, and that it's not their fault. And then um, and then if it's like getting closer to the date or like if like other committees have nothing to do, then I would like probably ask other committees or other people if like they can help out or like if they're willing to help out. And yeah.
Hi, Juliana. So for your next question, it is what is your vision for MFAS next year?
Um, my vision for MFAS. First, I think the first thing that I would do would set out a Google form beforehand. Because I want to know people's like feedback on previous MFAS, on like what worked well and like what they enjoyed and liked, and also like what things could have been done better or like taken out. Um, because I think people's experiences are very important. Like my vision is not as important as other people's like experiences because I want them to like feel excited for MFAS. Um, and I want to know like their ideas and how I can implement it to MFAS to make it more fun for them. But if I had to think of anything, my idea would be probably I know they didn't have this year or last, but having like a workshop that has um a workshop with like people's like grades, like certain grades. I think that would be cool to like collab with other people from other schools with the same grade as you and like sharing like your experiences and just doing like fun activities. I think that would be so cool. And also like having more workshops or performances that celebrate Filipino culture, maybe like different regions of the Philippines would be cool. Um, and then um, another thing that would be cool would be like having something interactive. I know I've done this in my high school, but we had like bingo cards. I think that would be cool, like having like a virtual bingo card, like certain like task or fun activities, and then like uploading it to like Google Photos or something like that. That would be cool, like seeing other people's like experiences, and like the things that they're doing at MFAS so far, and then maybe like putting that before the variety show and just like having like a slideshow. That would be cool. And then maybe posting it on Instagram afterwards. But yeah.
Give you a round of applause for that.
Thank
So as of now, you don't have anything left to do for applications. Thank you again for applying and interviewing. You did amazing. And then for the next steps, we'll be interviewing one more person after this. And then MAFA organizations and their VPE. And then MAFA board will be voting from June 8th to June 14th, which the MAFA schools VPEs will get allotted one vote, and then MAFA board gets two votes. And then for those running unopposed, who must receive 2/3 of the votes to be elected. And then we will send out the results by June 15th. Do you have any other questions, comments, or concerns?
None that I could think of.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your day.
Hi.
Can you all hear me? Loud and
Yes.
clear. Oh my gosh, exciting. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for taking the time to interview me.
Thank you for being here and interviewing with us. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you all?
I'm tired, but we're hanging
I
in
get that.
there.
Oh my gosh. It's nice to see everyone again. Oh my gosh. It's like a reunion. I think the only person I haven't met here is actually it's Clarice, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. Yeah, because I know like April was crazy for me. So I know I wasn't able to do much, but it's nice
Yeah. It's,
finally.
it's nice to finally meet you.
Yeah.
Let's get this started.
Hmm.
Thank you so much for applying and interviewing to be on the 2025-2026 MAFA board. We truly appreciate it. We know this process is kind of long. But for this interview process, you'll have 5 minutes to read your speech, which will give you a 1 minute and then a 30-minute warning and then time. And then after that, I'll give you a few seconds to collect yourself, breathe, drink water, whatever. And then we'll go into a 5-minute speech. We'll be asking, since you're applying for two roles, we'll ask you two of each questions, two
Hmm.
questions for each role. And then, yeah, whenever you are ready, I will start my timer.
Sure. Well, good evening, everyone. My name is Michael Massey. I'm a rising fourth year public health student at the University of Louisville in Kentucky, and I'm a member of the MAFA Sphere through the Kababayan Ambassador Program. I'm running for both the Outreach Chair and Cultural Liaison positions for the 2025-2026 MAFA e-board. My passion for MAFA stems from my desire to cultivate a welcoming community for all Filipino people in the Midwest. Growing up, I never had a consistent group of Filipino American people my age to call my community. So, like, the spaces I existed in barely had any Philam people my age. And so, when there were, our paths like rarely crossed. So, when I came to college, I was excited to see and befriend Filipino people on campus. But similarly, our circumstances didn't allow us to actually like become like close friends on that deeper level through our heritage. So learning about MAFA's existence changed everything for me, especially since U of L, where I go to college, doesn't actually have a Filipino cultural heritage club. And I haven't regretted joining, especially since as I've learned through things like the Tagalog lessons and the MAFA intern program this past spring, I can actually contribute to this group. And there's a lot of like-minded people here who actually want to make a community of care. So, in either position I'm running for, my fullest efforts would go toward fulfilling MAPA's purpose of uniting Filipinos in the Midwest through cultural awareness and relationship building. As a regional organization, we have this really unique opportunity to connect people across geographic lines. And our framework of common heritage allows us to highlight people's humanity at its deeper roots. So, through collaboration, in either position, I would highlight and honor the people, places, and partnerships already present within the Mophosphere and attempt to create new ones. So these next couple sections are about what I would do specifically in each position. So as cultural liaison, I would embed quality cultural awareness efforts into as many spaces as possible. So for a couple examples, as the dedicated webmaster, I would establish a heritage section. That's the running title I have for it right now, which has like dedicated pages for historical events, current events, and member organization updates through the lens of people living as Philam people here in the Midwest. And for example, the newsletter, I would curate highlights that center and highlight the stories and experiences of people within the MAFA sphere. So one thing I really want to do is work with relevant e-board members of the different MAFA orgs that we have to let them tell what's going on in the communities that they are living in. Just because even though we all have a common heritage, that doesn't mean that it looks the same and is experienced the same. Moving on to outreach chair, a lot of that focus would be into the interpersonal work, though heritage would still be a through line. So for both the families and the CAP programming, one thing I would really try and do would be establish like consistent scheduling and programming, which highlights the amazing communities that we have here. And that would look a little different for those two groups. So for the families, that would be like everybody in MAFA, right? So something really important would be to encourage people to actually show up and actually engage with each other. And for CAP, those would be people who don't already have a Filipino cultural org on campus. That would be like myself. So that would be helping people understand that this is an organization, a regional one, that they have every right to participate in and engage in. So at least one or two events per semester that would actually specifically focus on like culture as well. That would be one thing I'd like to bring to that position. And additionally, I would work with the VPE, whoever that would be, to create a pipeline for recruitment and retention. So looking over the election packet, it seemed like there was a lot of overlap. And so one thing I'd like to do in that role would be just to make sure that there's a good division of labor that ultimately builds upon one another. And so when working with any member organizations or any just individuals, I would leverage information already known to the e-board to ensure that the time, resources, and interests of all parties involved are respected and maximized. That way, we all get to thrive and benefit. Ultimately, my goal is to help MAFA continue being what it is for me, which is a true community, a place filled with people I love being with, and a chance to build something more meaningful with people who share a cultural thread, no matter how different our individual lives are. Whether that be through cultural storytelling or intentional outreach, I want to create spaces where our community doesn't just grow. I want it to be a place for everyone, for the time, your trust, and the opportunity to at least be with you all and hopefully to serve. Thank you all.
We ended right on time. Did really well. I'll give you a second to collect your thoughts, have your sip of water as you're already doing. And then once you are ready, we will go into the Q&A portion, which Elaine will start. And then
Sure. I'm ready when you are, Elaine.
Hi, good to see you again. Thanks for running. My question for you is, how do you plan to maintain and establish connections with MAFA schools?
So going back to what I said in my speech, it would be using the resources that we already have and leveraging that. So working with Jacob and Nick this past semester, I do know that there are leads for schools that have been interested in joining, that have been contacted before. So I would work with my current or well, I'd work with you all to kind of establish like what the results of those efforts were for this year, and work with the next e-board just to see, hey, where do we want to go in terms of the overall goals of the organization? Are we trying to establish a goal of orgs to recruit, and just see where our priorities align, and then just going from there and just contacting them and attempting to build or maintain a relationship. Thank you.
Perfect. The next question is, do you plan to increase engagement on the Discord?
So Jacob, you're kind of cutting out on my end. Could you repeat your question for me?
Well, I mean, that question is, how do you plan to increase engagement on the Discord?
How do I plan to increase engagement on the Discord? So that would involve a multi-factored approach. And I say that in the sense, number one, I would work with the next e-board to establish what we would use the Discord for. Obviously, I'm in the Discord, so I know that there are channels already set up for things like the families, for events, for announcements, really making sure, hey, when we say we want to use it for announcements, what does that look like? Really just ensuring that my understanding is the same as theirs. And then also reaching out to our MAFA member orgs and just saying, hey, like we have amazing things in this Discord. Could you tell your folks we're going to do this programming? And also working with the other e-board members to ensure that there is actual consistent things to promote on the Discord as well. Obviously, I don't want to like accidentally or unintentionally pressure people to do things that may not be possible. Rather, I know from personal experience, it's like, oh, you're telling me to join the Discord and then nothing happens, which we know that's not true. We know there's so many amazing people in there. And so that would be what I would do to promote it. And then also just like, if it's okay with that, with next e-board, I could just like do fun things on the Discord too. It doesn't have to be like super formal. It could just be like, let's have a game night and just invite people to do that. Yeah, thank you, Jacob.
Hi, Michael. Thank you for that answer. And I'll be asking your next question, which is more oriented towards the cultural liaison role, which is, how do you plan to discuss and promote awareness of difficult or heavy topics on Filipinx issues within our community?
With any difficult subject, it's always best to have a diverse range of perspectives. Obviously, this is something I tried alluding to in my speech. We all have a common heritage. We all experience it differently because of other identity characteristics that we have. One thing I wanted to do that I didn't mention in the speech was that I also wanted to create like a committee that would actually be centered in general around cultural awareness, cultural engagement, which would be open to any MAFA member. And so that would be like if I'm allowed to do that, if the next e-board's okay with it, that would be the first set of people I'd go to really gain these perspectives and make sure, hey, the language is culturally competent, making sure the presentation is culturally competent. And that's to ensure that. Alternatively, if we're trying to, or if I am trying to just do like a general post, I would probably run it by e-board. If it's more like an event or like a webinar or even an in-person workshop, I would probably proactively reach out to the relevant e-board members of our MAFA member orgs and see if they can link me up with people within their orgs who may either experience or may be willing to share their experiences. So that way we can be culturally competent in person or together synchronously. And then also, I'm pretty sure there's like a board of advisors, so I go to them too if need be. Thank you.
All right. Hey, Michael. Good to see you. Your next question for the cultural liaison position is, what motivates you to run for cultural liaison, and what legacy do you hope to leave?
Gosh, gosh. Legacy, that's such a that's a loaded one for me. I really like the idea of being able to simultaneously learn more about my heritage while also being able to help others learn about theirs and also keep up with what's going on in the community. I live in Louisville. So that's where the University of Louisville is. That's the biggest city here in Kentucky. There is a Filipino community. Unfortunately, due to the pandemic, a lot of our activities and events kind of died off, both on campus and in the general community. And so I am wanting to get more involved there. And to tie that back into the MAFA stuff, I want to be able to help people who are in a similar position to me, where it's like, hey, like I don't really know what's going on, in terms of my heritage, my identity, and just be able to promote that anybody can get involved with this stuff. And it's okay if you start from square zero, from ground zero, or if you're up in the sky already at like peak altitude. And so I guess the legacy I would want to leave is promoting inclusivity for the Filipinx community, because I know sometimes it can be very daunting for folks who, for regardless of what the circumstances were, who might feel like outsiders to get involved. So I would want to be able to do that.
Right, that was your last question, so we'll give you a round of applause for that. Um, so this is the last thing you'll have to do in regards for applying and running for board. You did really well. So for the next steps, you were actually the last person we
Wow.
needed to interview. So MAFA organizations and exec board will be voting from June 8th to the 14th, which MAFA members and MAFA orgs and their VPEs are allotted one vote, and then MAFA exec board is allotted 2 votes. For those who are running unopposed, must receive 2/3 of their vote to be elected, and then results will be out via email June 15th. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns?
Only question I would have is which email account or which contact on the MAFA side will tell me the results? Is it going to be like the MAFA president account? Is it going to be another
What-
associate?
It'll be whatever Sarah has been
Okay.
using, I believe.
Okay. So I just want to make sure I don't miss the email.
Right. Well, if you don't have anything else, it was nice seeing you. And bye.
Bye. Y'all have a safe night.